And another question I always got asked was, have you ever picked where you're going to burn and keep it under control? And you know, once you do it, I mean, the key word here is, if it's a controlled, prescribed burn, it should be under control. And that was just the piece we've never latched onto here in this county. 90% of the fires, I would say, are uncontrolled. So I think the biggest challenge to patch burning for me has just been growing up on a ranch and what was between my ears. You know, I really had to just rethink things and look at it, as we like to say, outside the cow. So personally, I've liked it. I do have a gray chicken left on the ranch and enjoy taking people out to see them. In the spring, I've taken people out for the last 8 years. I never get tired of it. I really don't. And we've seen it change. I loved some of the changes for me as a rancher. Well, number one, the way that gray chickens use 3 different patches, so do my cows. You know, they'll go off in the tall grass to have a calf, and then they'll come into the most recently burned for grazing. A calf in May and June, so they're ready for that good grass. I like seeing those trails filled in. We did take out some fences, which I think has enhanced the ranch as well, less fragmentation. So overall, I've really been happy with it. The man who leased my pastures, I worked with for years, and I was afraid that he might hesitate to, but we worked out a deal that I mean, he understood we were going into an experiment. He was willing to try that with me, and he didn't even ask anymore. I mean, it's not an issue at all. He's not worried about his game. So.
Ranch down in Chautauqua County, down on the Oklahoma border. Maybe that's why Ron brought that up. I'm not sure. But I can find Ceresia about anywhere up through the Flint Hills, so you just got to look hard enough for it. I run a small, I own a few cows. I own some of the yearlings, but I mainly custom graze yearlings. I own some land, I lease quite a bit more. Most all of it's 90-day. On my home ranch there where I live, we do have a patch burn project going on. I started it, and I've completed 3 years. So whatever year it was I started it, in 10 I guess it was. Made the commitment in 2009 to try it. I had been watching the research that Oklahoma State had done and at K-State on animal performance. That's probably very important to a lot of us in the business that I'm in, is the animal performance side of it. I see from their research no significant difference in the performance of it, but I didn't really trust them 100%. So I only committed part of the ranch to this project, and I will say, from my findings, and I annual burn double stock, and then I've got the patch burn, and I own cattle on both, and I own the cattle on both of them, and I weigh the cattle in and weigh the cattle out and stuff, and there's been no significant difference the first 2 years. This year, I can't really say, because I can't really say that any of this is going to hold up until I commit to maybe 6 years of this stuff and see if it does. But I will say this about the patch burn, and I don't know why it worked this year. Most of my gains on annual, we had some annual burn, some of it we didn't burn. All of it was double stock, some of it was customer cattle, some of it was owned cattle. Gains out there on 85 to 90 day was anywhere from 1.3 to the best was 1.9 this year. Normally we get a lot better than that. I don't know what happened on the patch burn. Same kind of cattle, same kind of management, same everything, 2.9 on the patch burn. So it was a big difference. I don't know what happened. I don't know why this happened this year. I will say this about my patch burn, and I can talk about the annual burn, double stocked, and I like that. I like that program. If you're handling lots of yearlings, I don't know of a system out there that's been designed yet that I can handle lots of cattle. I can make some money, if not pretty good money, doing it, and be in and out in a short period of time, and it worked for me. I did realize this year, and visiting with Mike Koger, the county agent from this county, they do samples on the grass, and they determine, I guess, the protein content or whatever the grass. I did notice this year, because my patch burn lays right out in front of my house, and so in the morning I can drink coffee. Later in the morning, you can drink coffee and watch the cattle, and in the evening you can drink beer or wine and watch the cattle. But all through May and most all of June, the cattle spent almost 100% of their time on the patch burn. And then about the third week of June, they moved out. And they would come there, early in the morning they would be there, and then in the evenings, about an hour before sunset, they'd come back. The rest of the time they were gone. And by July 4th, they didn't ever come back. They wouldn't come back to the patch burn. They went west on me. And really and truly for animal performance, I don't know, there's lots of scientists in there who can measure lots of stuff, but the cattle, in my opinion, quit performing on July 4th. From that day on, I lost weight, and I should have been moving cattle. When they moved off that patch burn, I felt like I probably should have been thinking about moving cattle and getting them gone, and I didn't. And we weighed up cattle. Some of the cattle went on July 16th, some went on July the 25th, and some went on July 29th. And every day we weighted the same cattle. We were just taking gate cuts. Pounds were going off quick. And so I know July 4th the cattle were big. And so there's something to that. It was kind of a rude awakening for me, because I never really watched cattle behavior before on grazing, because I annual burn the whole pasture, and hell, they just grazed wherever. I mean, there's a fence surrounding them. Here, the fence didn't surround them, and they moved out on me. I thought that was kind of interesting observation issue. Now, whether any of it makes any sense or not, I don't know. I'll tell you in 10 or 15 years. Do this enough? I don't know. But anyway, I graze yearlings, have a few cow-calves. I'm moving over to a lot more on the cow-calf sector of it, on my lease country. I'm trying to get my landlords to allow me to, and they are. We've got a couple of different ranches that we're probably going to switch over to a lot more cows on it and get out of the yearling business. I'm handling those. A couple of different reasons. The main one being the labor. It's hard to put crews together to ship yearlings and do it consistently for 20-some days straight. If you're trading help with neighbors, and that's what we do, we trade a lot of help. They help us, we help them. And then we hire day cowboys. And in the beginning, the first day of shipping, there'll probably be 25 of us. On the last day of shipping, there may be 3 of us. You can't, I don't care what you pay, they don't show up no more. Everybody gets tired. It gets harder and harder to do every year. So we're going to spread our workload out a little bit going into the cow business. So that's kind of an interesting observation on my part, I guess. Other than that, I love the prairie. I'm not sure about patch burning. Like Jane said, it's interesting when you try to control prescribed fire. I guess all fire is prescribed unless it's wild. Controlling's been a challenge for us. So far, in the 3 years that I've done this, we've made no mistakes yet. But anytime anyone burns much country, our time's coming, so I don't know how it'll happen. My big question is, and I know we're going to cover this later on, I hope, because I got a lot of questions for all you guys out there. I'm into this now. If this prolonged drought hangs in here for more years to come, which it can or can't, I don't care. How does it end? How does patch burn end? That was my question. If I have to vacate this grazing practice, how do I end it? And where does it end at? Like Jane said, erosion is a big challenge for me. Trailing, as you all know, yearlings, I handle lots of yearlings, teenagers at the mall. They all get in a straight line and walk behind each other for miles, especially around fences. Take out the fences, put it in fire lines and stuff, and a lot of that changes. So that's going to be interesting to see 10 years from now where my erosion ends up. So I'm excited about seeing that. Other than that, we'll answer questions as we go.
I just met you. But I guess we're good friends, right? All right, I'm Ed Koger, and I live west of Medicine Lodge, about 36 miles. Jane is my sister. We grew up together in Chase County. My family on my father's side had a ranch in western Kansas. We both ended up out there. Jane ended up back here in the end. But, I stayed out there, and I moved out there in 1974. And I burnt with my granddad a lot. Flint Hills where I was growing up. Something always stuck with me, and nobody burned in that country when I moved out there, but I wasn't quite that observant. So in 1977, I decided that I'd have a burn, and well, let's just put it this way. There were some really bad neighbors. But it's catching on more, and more people are burning. We've got the cedar tree problem out there, a lot more than here. But I'm getting ahead of cedars on my place. I know that for a fact. But this patch burning, I accidentally got into this. Some of the land that I manage has roads all over it, and cattle guard between the pastures on the fences. I had this bright idea one time in the early 2000s that I just started using these roads, going around the road, because then I didn't have to build all these fire guards along the fences. So I do this, and well then I'm going to do that, and then when the wind switches the other direction, I'll burn into what I burn, and I can burn pastures that way. Well, things happen in range. Wind doesn't ever get by, so you let it go. Well, that's where I kind of got started doing it. In 2005, we we started doing it continually like that. And I'm delighted with the results that I've got with patch burning. I've seen huge increases in our lesser prairie chicken populations, the bobwhite quail. In my opinion, it's the best thing I've ever done in my place. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Last year, the worst gain we had on steers with 1.18 inches of rain all summer was 1.62 pounds, and that was on pastures that were not burned at all. Any part of them or anything. The rest of the cattle did better than that. The patch burn cattle did the best. So, anyway, that's enough for me.
Excellent. I think I'll just go ahead and open it up for questions. So, anybody want to start off with a question for one or all of the groups? So,
Bill, can you tell me how large the patch was that you burned?
The question was, how large are the patch? Okay, I'm going to repeat some of these questions. I'm hard of hearing, so, and I'm going to say something to Brian about that. These other speakers, when they get a question. I can't hear what the question was. I just hear the answer, which is probably good. How large? Okay, my total patch, my patch is 1,000 acres, a little over 1,000 acres. So a patch is I do a 3-year rotation, so a third of it, 335 acres. It jumps around a little bit, you know, but it stays pretty close to that.
And how large is your patch? How big is your
Okay. My patches are completely different. We've got some pastures that we burn just half of the time. One, then 2 years later, burn the other half and go back and forth. We've got some we burn 25% of each pasture, and some we burn 300, approximately 1/3. So we're really running 3 different deals. But it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, the two burn pasture is it's a little different, but given the extra year each time, it works out great.
Are these the same grazing rates on your patch burn that you did originally, your 4-year patch burn?
I do, yes. I use exactly the same grazing rates. We run about 6 acres per yearling and 12 acres per back out there. And I like to have quite a bit of dry matter left in the pasture going into the winter too.
Do you have any feeling what the best rotation is for control of cedars in the 2, 3, and 4-year rotations?
For controlled cedars, probably really the best rotation is a mechanical saw that's doing this. You can't kill a cedar. Out in my country, they've gotten so far out of hand that there's 20-footers, 30-footers, 60-footers. And a fire will not kill them. So you can get about everything from maybe 8 or 10 feet down with a fire if you've got good fuel load to carry through it. But really, we're mostly mechanically cutting the trees, laying them down, and burning them that way.
Bob, you had a question?
Going back to the question about stocking rate, so is your stocking rate based upon the bird acreage or the entire patch?
The question was, is the stocking rate based on the entire pasture or just the burn patch?
No, it's the entire pasture. So if there's a 1,200 acre pasture, 200 head goes on it, a third of it gets burned. Or a quarter.
Nice.
From a production or profitability standpoint, what, if anything, have you given up to try this system?
Everybody hear that? Production, what have you given up in production? Has it compromised your bottom line?
Personally, I think I'm more profitable simply because my first concern is the wildlife and the condition of the prairie. And I kind of ranch around that, managing for the wildlife, managing for the condition of the prairie. And I run cattle around that, but it's a cleansing, I think, that this patch burning, and it's a spreading of risk over 3 years at least on most of it, where you always have an insurance policy of 1/3 of that pasture in case of a drought that's going to hold more moisture that will still grow grass. You get any winter snow at all or any kind of spring rain, and the evaporation rate is so much lower when you've got 3,500 or 4,000 pounds of dry matter sitting on top of the ground. Everything works great for me. Let somebody else.
Jane?
I would, yeah. I mean, really, Ed just said what I would I would have said, so.
Has there been what downside did you see?
I don't, I can't think of anything.
I haven't been challenged yet, but would probably be, and that can always come up, because of ownership change, but probably, just the acceptance of it with neighbors. I'll say this, I'm very fortunate where I'm at, where I'm located, and then you also have to remember, I'm not a native of Kansas and I'm not a native of the tallgrass prairie. I'm a tourist that just happened in here several years back, and I also have one more advantage, being an outsider, that across the border south of me, there's an outfit down there that does a bunch of stuff, and whenever I try something, I can just point the finger across the border south. Oklahoma, they go, I take all the heat, they take all the heat off me. So I can try all kinds of things and get by with it. I just like doing something, I like the prairie. Cattle are part of it, and the plants are part of it, and all of the beetles and the flies and all of it are part of it, and I'm part of it. This patch burn this year, with as dry as it was going into this thing, we were out there doing a bird survey, and as we were going across there, we got into the second year burn deal, and there was all this prairie clover, and it was blooming because everything's way ahead of schedule, And here all this stuff was blooming on this hillside going up to there, and none of my other pastures that were either burnt or unburned, either one, but if I double stocked them, I didn't see a lot of that. So it's kind of neat to see it, a little bit different plants, Like I said, I'm way early in this. I'm only 3 years into it, so far it looks okay. Whether or not I can hold up to the pace over the next 10 years or so, I don't know. But I'm very fortunate to be part of the prairie. So I enjoy